In this lesson, we're diving into one of the most dynamic tools in advanced prompting, role-based prompting. You'll learn how to assign GPT-specific roles so it can generate purpose-driven responses. Whether you're looking for business insights, creative storytelling, or everyday advice, role-based prompting can dramatically improve the relevance and usefulness of the output you receive. So, what exactly is role-based prompting? At its core, it's a technique where you ask GPT to adopt a particular role, like a teacher, an analyst, or even a fictional character, so that its responses reflect the tone, style, and depth of that perspective. Instead of giving general answers, GPT tailors its language, knowledge scope, and priorities to match what someone in that role would say or do. Let's break that down with an example right away. Imagine you're planning a vacation, but you're overwhelmed by options. Rather than just asking GPT, "What are good places to visit in Europe?" you say, "Act as a travel agent and create a one-week itinerary for a couple interested in art and food traveling to Italy." That one change, the assignment of a role, shifts the entire frame. Instead of a list of top cities, you might get a curated experience with daily plans, restaurant suggestions, museum times, and travel tips. That's the value of role-based prompting. Now, let's talk about why this matters. GPT is incredibly flexible, but it's not automatically tuned to your needs. Without guidance, replies may be too broad or unfocused. By assigning a role, you narrow the model's focus to a specific expertise or persona. This leads to more structured, relevant, and actionable responses. There are three main benefits here. First, it boosts output quality by aligning it with your expectations. Second, it supports specialized tasks by tapping into domain-specific knowledge. And third, it allows for more engaging and contextual interactions, especially in storytelling, simulations, or coaching formats. Let's look at another everyday example. Say you're launching a product and need help with the marketing plan. Sure, you could ask, "How do I market my new app?" But now try this. "You are a marketing consultant with 10 years of experience in tech startups. Help me design a go-to-market strategy for a time-tracking app targeting freelancers." Now GPT will respond with more focus, perhaps outlining audience segmentation, marketing channels, messaging ideas, and even launch timelines. You're not just getting an answer, you're starting a strategy session. So how exactly do you assign a role in a prompt? Let's move into that next. The structure is simple, but the wording matters. The clearer and more specific your role assignment, the better the results. You typically begin with a phrase like, "act as a," or "you are," followed by the role, a teacher, a chef, a lawyer, or anything else. Then, describe the context or task. Here's a formula you can use. Role plus expertise, level, plus context, plus task. Let's say you're trying to learn about inflation. You could write, "Act as a high school economics teacher. Explain inflation in simple terms suitable for a 15-year-old student." Using this structured format sets GPT up for success. It knows the voice, the audience, and the learning goal. Another tip, match the tone and style to the role. A lawyer analyzing a contract will use formal, precise language. A children's author making up a bedtime story will use playful, simple language. You control this through how you describe the role and its audience. Now let's run through a few more examples to lock this in. Here's one for education. "You are a professor of history. Present a summary of the causes of World War I, suitable for first-year university students." And a creative twist. "Act as a medieval bard telling a tale of a heroic knight who saves a village from a dragon. Make it rhyme and use Old English flair, but keep it fun and clear." Notice how the role shapes both the content and the delivery style. This is where GPT begins to really shine, not just responding, but performing. Next, let's explore some common and powerful professional roles. These are especially useful if you're using GPT in your work life. One is the consultant role. You can assign GPT to be a business consultant, a financial planner, or even an operations specialist. For example, you are a management consultant. Break down the pros and cons of expanding my small business into a new region. Another is the analyst role. Let's say you're working with survey data. Try prompting, "You're a data analyst. Review this dataset and identify 3 trends about customer satisfaction." You can then paste in your data or summarize it in text form. There's also the writer role. GPT can act as an editor, a ghostwriter, or a copywriter, depending on your content needs. One more. Let's not forget coaching roles. You might say, "Act as a career coach. I'm considering switching from education to project management. Help me assess whether this is a good move." This allows GPT to simulate a thoughtful conversation rather than dumping unfiltered advice. Now let's make a shift into the creative world. Role-based prompting isn't just for the office. It's also a fantastic tool for personal projects and self-expression. For example, GPT can act as a poet, a stand-up comedian, a screenwriter, or even a game master. You might say, "Act as a children's poet. Write a poem about a clumsy elephant learning to dance." The results will reflect rhythm, tone, and age-appropriate vocabulary. Want to write a novel? Try, "You're a science fiction author working in the style of Ray Bradbury. Draft the opening paragraph of a short story about a world with robotic oceans." You can even ask GPT to play roles in ongoing fictional scenarios. Say, "You're a character named Captain Nova, a former astronaut turned rogue space trader. Respond to this situation where you're being pursued by bounty hunters." GPT will interact with you in character, using consistent voice and backstory. These types of prompts are excellent for game design, writing practice, or just having fun. But they also help develop storytelling and communication skills, which are valuable beyond just the creative arts. Now that we've covered how to give GPT a role and the types of outputs it can generate, let's talk about how to improve the interaction once the role is assigned. This is especially important in multi-turn conversations. One way to enhance role-playing interactions is to anchor the model by repeating its role when asking follow-ups. That keeps it on track. For instance, if you're working with GPT as a career coach and you say, "Given my concerns, what would you suggest?" It might respond vaguely. But if you write, "As my career coach, what would you suggest given my concerns about job stability?" Now it knows to stay grounded in its coaching role. Another approach is to add specific situational details. The more context, the better. Instead of "act as a therapist and help me with stress," say, "You're a licensed therapist helping someone deal with work-related stress from long hours and lack of recognition." Offer coping strategies in a conversational and empathetic tone. These details improve both believability and usefulness. And remember, if GPT drifts from its assigned tone or starts sounding generic, you can recalibrate by reminding it of the role. Please stay in the role of a supportive therapist. Let's consider a full example. Suppose you're entering a new career and want clarity. Start with, "You are a professional career coach with a background in helping mid-career professionals switch industries. I'm a 39-year-old school counselor exploring a transition into user experience design. Ask me 3 questions to help refine my path." GPT might respond with thoughtful questions about your interests, transferable skills, and preferred work environment. You then answer, and the conversation flows like a real coaching session. In fact, many users find role-based GPT conversations more direct and reflective than traditional advice articles. On that note, let's briefly point out how this can be a practical productivity tool in your routine. You can prompt GPT daily using defined roles. Morning planning? Use the role of a productivity coach. Reading a tough article? Assign it the role of interpreter, like, "You're a science journalist explaining this paper in plain English." Troubleshooting a software problem? Say, "Act as a tech support specialist familiar with Mac OS." The result? Faster, more targeted help. Now, you might be wondering, is there a risk of GPT pretending to offer advice outside its expertise, say legal or medical? That's a valid concern. The key here is to use role-based prompting ethically and with awareness. GPT is not a licensed professional. It provides simulations, summaries, and patterns, not certified judgments. Always consult a human expert when an issue requires real-world accountability. But for brainstorming, rough drafts, or general explanations, role-based prompting is an effective bridge between your needs and GPT's capabilities. Let's recap where we've been. We started by defining role-based prompting as a technique that assigns GPT a specific persona or expertise to sharpen its responses. You learned how to structure a prompt by combining the role, its expertise level, the context, and the specific task. We explored professional roles like consultant, writer, and analyst. We looked at creative roles such as storyteller, poet, and fictional character. And we saw how refining prompts helps GPT stay in role across multiple turns. Finally, we discussed practical ways to use role-based prompting in your own life, from planning your week to preparing for a job change or engaging in creative writing. So here's your takeaway. Role-based prompting allows you to unlock GPT's true versatility. By steering its responses through defined roles, you get more relevance, clarity, and engagement, no matter what you're trying to do. You'll be surprised how powerful GPT becomes when it knows who it's supposed to be.